and welcome back to another So I've Been Reading. I am the Rat, and this is The Rat's Nest. We're here today to talk about a series that I just finished reading this morning because I binged half of it last night, went to bed at a very bad time, woke up, and finished the rest of it. Oshi no Ko, my star, as the funny translation is my star. Oshi no Ko. This is a series that this past season, right? Oshi no Ko, big seasonal anime. Whenever it first came out, episode 1, I, saw some stuff on it. I was like, oh, okay, funny idol show, right? Every show's going to have its seasonal anime, like, My Dress Up Darling or Komi-san. That's what I was like, oh, it's a funny idol show, okay. I saw some people talk about it I on Twitter and whatnot, and apparently I was like, oh, there's apparently like a twist or something at the end, and it's like an hour and a half long. I was like, that's interesting, right? Not every series will get an hour and a half premiere, twist endings aren't exactly rare, but they could be interesting. So just on a whim, after episode 1 aired, just one night I was like, you know what? I got some time. Let's just see. I'm intrigued enough by it. I've never watched an idol anime before. I'm intrigued enough by it to kind of, okay, let's feel it out a little bit. Let's check it out a little bit. It's good. If you've seen it, Oshi no Ko is pretty darn good. Episode 1, I finished it, and I was like, that was pretty good. And I was like, okay, that was really good. Just that, the longer it sunk in, I was like, oh my gosh, that was a really good episode 1. I watched the rest of it, and I was like, okay. I was getting through it. I was like, I'm not gonna binge the manga yet. I'm gonna wait for it to finish before I binge the manga. And episode 11 comes out. I watched that. I'm like, okay. I thought there was gonna be 12 episodes. There's not. There was just 11. And so I saw that yesterday that episode 11 was the final one. And I was like, well, that makes sense. I didn't know if maybe it'd be like a 24, double core. I was like, okay, the anime's over. Let's binge the manga. So I did binge the manga. So I'm recording this literally after I finished it. I finished it an hour or two ago. I had some other chores to do, had some other stuff to run, and I collected my thoughts a little bit. Man, do I gotta say, might be one of my favorite manga. It's that post-series thing you find yourself in. But I feel like Oshi no Ko is gonna stand up to that. After you finish a manga, right? This is the worst feeling. Whenever you finish a manga and then it's like you just feel like empty, and it's like, man, I don't got any more to write, and you just feel bad. And it's like all that you can think about, and it kind of sucks. I guess that's the price you pay for reading it and being extremely entertained in there, and just the dopamine. It's probably some chemical something in the brain, right? But so you finish it and you're like, dang, I want more. Especially with where it left off. So, obvious spoilers for Oshi no Ko manga. I'm going to generally go over everything, and I'm hoping that by recording this video, I will alleviate, getting my thoughts out there, right? Just talking about my thoughts over this series that is it's really good. It is a really good series. Getting my thoughts out on it will hopefully help me not feel as awful like you do after you binge a manga. But yeah, so starting off, I'm gonna roughly go arc by arc. I will admit that I probably won't remember all the details. But the first arc after where the anime ended off was the stage arc, the stage play arc. I thought that was really fun. Getting to see Aqua. Ruby doesn't exist yet. I was like, dang, Ruby really isn't a character anymore. And then Ruby became a character. I was like, okay. But it was fun, getting to see Akane, best girl by far, by the way. Yeah. Getting to see her and Kana kind of battle it out and everyone else. It was fun. It was very familiar, I think, in a lot of ways to what we've seen with Oshi no Ko, kind of, delving into stuff with the showbiz industry. It was very familiar in that to the quote-unquote generic Oshi no Ko arc, right? It was good. I think one of my favorite parts was Aqua's little panic attacks that he was having over emotional acting. whenever he would remember and be racked with guilt over Ai's death, and just having to kind of deal with that, not overcome it. Bro still hasn't overcome it, but just to deal with that. There were some awesome scenes in there. Whenever he was like channeling everything, where he's like, what if she was still alive? Like, what if she came back to life? And like, oh my gosh, that hit kind of different, bro. That hit kind of different. Aqua is a phenomenal main character. I mean, he's one of the things that sold me on it in the first place when I watched the anime. Was Aqua, but man, in the manga, he has some good stuff, and getting the and we get to kind of see it later as well. The disparity of him who just wants to be happy and move on, but he's not letting himself, and like it's understandable why he's not letting himself, but it's still it's sad to see, it's tragic to see, getting to see everyone's performances and Akane and Kana kind of going back and forth with each other. It was good, and then I really enjoyed this arc. All in all, I think that it was cool. Got to get to see the screenwriter. I really liked the screenwriter as a character. Got to see the lead from Sweet Today come back and put on his show, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And the mangaka kind of like comes back to like appreciate him more. I really liked the screenwriter's talk on adapting works, because that's one thing I really like, is thinking about the work that goes into adapting it, just because of how many light novels I've read and their counterpart mangas, as well as visual novels to animes to light novels to whatever, that kind of thing. Just the adaptation of media into different forms of media, be it print or comics or animation. I think that that's all very interesting to me and very interesting to look into. And so to get his little speech on that closer to the beginning, I really enjoyed it. This was just a really fun arc. Again, kind of getting to dive into Aqua's mental state a bit more. Akane being the absolute GOAT. She's best girl. What more can I say? I'm not a huge Kana fan, so I will say maybe I'm a bit disappointed that Aqua ultimately chooses her, basically. I'm a bit disappointed in that, because Akane is best girl. I mean, you could argue first girl syndrome. I guess that's technically Ruby, but I'm not on the twincest board. That's not me. I can see where the people are coming from with it. I see the same signs that they're seeing. But I don't know. I don't think that Aqua and Ruby's relationship will go like that. We can talk about that later. The stage arc, 2.5D arc, whatever, was fun. I quite enjoyed it. And then we get to arc 6. I believe it was Revenge, I think is what it was called. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This is probably my favorite Oshi no Ko arc so far. Obviously, we'll have to see the resolution to arc 9 to kind of gauge, but arc 6 goes hard. Arc 6 goes very, very hard. It has my favorite Oshi no Ko moment, as long as a lot of others. You have Aqua goes and he finds that the main guy for Lalale, the acting trope, right, is his half-brother. They have the same father, and he goes to talk to him. And the guy tells him, oh yeah, my father's this. He's dead, though. And so Aqua's like, oh, our father is dead. I can't get revenge on him. And he just accepts it. I thought this was interesting, kind of get a glimpse into Aqua's mind, where he wants to let go, right? Where it doesn't even cross his mind. And this is the first thing that crossed my mind. I was like, well, it's like, what if, that guy wasn't their biological father? That was the first thing that crossed my mind. Aqua just never thought of it. He just accepted it. I think that shows how much he wanted to move on. And it'll be interesting to see how maybe that comes back. But I think in his mind, and I don't know how the authors will write it, but he's kind of past, in a lot of ways, the point of no return with where he is in the manga right now. I don't know. I don't think he's past the point of no return. But that's just my random. Said I finished it an hour or two ago. I'm still thinking through my thoughts on everything. Dang, this was a good arc. And so then he kind of gives it up, and his star disappears, and it's like, okay, the star eyes, interesting. I do quite like it as a plot point. And it disappears. And he goes and he's happy. And then they go on a trip to the old hospital, to the old place where Aqua and Ruby, used to live in their past lives. And Aqua goes to the hospital, kind of looks around, goes to his old house, tells Akane about like the guy that he used to be. Didn't tell her that it's him, right? But tells her about him. They look for his corpse, but they don't find it. That is later with what's probably my favorite Oshinoko moment, which is when, man, they're so good. There's so much good stuff here. You have Ruby and Akane going around. There's Crow. Whoa, hyper-realistic Crow be upon you. Takes one of Ruby's things, flies away, and it flies to Aqua's old dead body. They find it, and you just get that one panel of like the hyper-realistic like skeleton. It's just like, okay. 3:15 a.m. Brandon had a field day with that one. Absolute field day with that one. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And then just the whole thing where we get Ruby again being like, reminiscing about Aqua, or I think Goro or Goto. I can't remember if it's Goto or Goro. About Aqua's past life, and just reminiscing like, what you call it? Wouldn't it be nice, if we met again, I'd want to marry you. It's like, okay. Like, look, I get where the Twincest shippers get their stuff from. I'm just not on the team. I'm not on the team, right? I'm not. I see the signs as well. I'm not lying to you. I know that Akane has zero chance. I know it's gonna be Kana. Probably. I mean, honestly, right now the most signs are pointing towards Twincest. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I know Akane doesn't stand a chance, but she's still best girl. That doesn't change anything. It's good. It's a very good moment there, where she realizes that he's dead. Where he's been missing, right? But she realizes that he's dead. It's like, man, that's good. And later you have Aqua and Akane talking, and he's like, I've been using you. All of their stuff is so good. I'm forgetting the details of their conversations and stuff. I'll be watching character videos on them and everything for the next while. I'm going to be following this weekly. I might do weekly chapter reviews, probably won't. I got One Piece and Chainsaw Man keep the plate full with weekly chapter reviews, but I'm definitely reading this one weekly, right? It's good. It's really good stuff. And then Aqua, he's like, the corpse has been found. My dad's dead. It's not, but he's like, I wanted to do this. And he kisses Akane and they start dating for real. It's like, okay, this was poggers. This was awesome. I was thrilled at this. It was a good moment. It was a good moment just all around, writing wise, for Aqua's character. Aqua's my favorite character. Ruby's probably second. But then we get the thing. We get the introduction to Crow Girl, which we know nothing about at this point, other than she's an agent of the supernatural. She's on the side of however they were reincarnated, and the way that she worded it was like, I remember this line. I screenshotted it, sent it to my friend Kyle, and I was like, Oshi no peak, bro. I was like, what's going on? Where the girl is like two people who never really had mothers, right? With Aqua and Ruby, and yeah, we get to see that two people who never really had mothers being reincarnated as the children of a mother who gave birth to two soulless children. It's like what's the meaning of this? It's like, what could the significance of this be? Like think about your place in this. It's like, what is it? What could it be? I don't know. I am so looking forward to finding out more about Crow Girl, and it's also be interesting. I think it was this arc where we got to see Ruby was talking to Aya's grave. She passes someone, and it's their dad. I cannot remember. It's like Kamiki or something. She passes. We didn't know that at the point. Oh, it's like, okay, it's the first time we get to see their father. We've probably seen him in a flashback somewhere, right? I'd probably have to look through, and I'd like pog and like point, and be like, no freaking way. This is our first time properly seeing him. It's like, okay, yeah, no, that guy isn't their dad. I never thought it was. I never really thought. I was like, there's no way at chapter 60, whatever. I know there's 120 chapters, right? 122 at the time of release. Yeah, I'm recording this at the time of the funny chapter releasing. It's good. It's good. I was like, there's no way that that's their actual father. I was like, there's no way that their father's dead. I was like, that's the Oshinoko plot point. It's like you can't take that away. But it was interesting what they did with Aqua's character and then what they did with Ruby's character at the end of this arc was phenomenal. My favorite Oshinoko panel happens here. I don't know if I already called the skeleton my favorite panel. It's not. That's my favorite moment. My favorite panel comes whenever they're shooting the music video and you have Ruby thinking about everything, and it's like, and you have the Crow Girl talk to her, and it's like, man, it's kind of odd. Like, it's kind of odd that you two were born on the same day that this guy disappeared and died. I was like, that's kind of weird, isn't it? And she was like, it's crazy too because there's only like 2 people around the hospital. She was like, it was a big day. Did he disappear because of it, or like in spite of it? You know, it's like, that's kind of curious. She said there were 2 people around the hospital. She said one of them was one university, one middle school student. She said a university student later killed as identified. You know, that's crazy. And then Ruby was like, who was the other? And then she's like, isn't that your job to figure out? It's like, oh my gosh. So Crow Girl is working on the side of chaos. Something. Like, is their father like literally like the devil? Is he like soulless? Like, what? Like, how much supernatural stuff goes into this? That this figure of the supernatural, who knows that they're reincarnated, right, and works on that side to some degree, and she's encouraging Ruby to take up Aqua's torch after he's given it up and says, I'm going to work to be happy, right? I'm going to work to find my happiness. She persuades Ruby to go after, and she gives her the thought to go after him. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy, though. And then we get Ruby at the shoot, and she's like, look, this guy killed Sensei. I'm going to kill him. And we get the panel of her looking at the camera and say, I will kill him. That's not my favorite panel. Favorite panel is the last panel of that chapter, I believe, where she's sitting in the water with all the feathers around her, and the eye stars are black. It's like, oh my gosh. That's a good panel. That is what we in the industry call a really good panel, right? Oshinoko is peak. And then to finish off the arc, we have them all praying at the funny shrine. We get Ruby's thing of where first she talks to Akane, and she's like, what do you think, whatever, and basically she figures out that Aqua is doing stuff in order to get closer to find out who their mom's killer is. That's so true. Who their mom's killer is. And Ruby's wish at this point, her eyes are black stars for the rest of it. I really like that. I really quite enjoy that itches in the right spot. And she's like, you know, I pray that Aqua's able to find the guy who killed them, or like, I pray that he's able to kill the guy who killed them. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty based. Ruby. Congrats, you're pretty based now. This was the best arc in Oshinoko, definitely up to this point. It's probably still my favorite arc. It's good. It's very good. I have to see how the movie arc plays out. Arc 9. Arc 7 is what called the main story, which I was like, oh, okay. And this was a bit underwhelming. I really, honestly, be honest with you, I can't remember the exact difference between like where Arc 7 ends and Arc 8 begins. Arc 9 begins relatively recently. I think it is at some point. I'm pretty sure it's after Aqua reveals the twins' identity and that I had kids. Pretty sure it's after that Arc 9 begins. Arc 7 was fun. Fun enough, you know. You have, you know, Aqua's moving on a bit and Ruby's trying to support him, like, you know, get them more popular so they can find the guy. Find out she's talking to the guy who was the previous head of Strawberry Productions, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. But he has been looking for the killer too, to kill him, because I was like a daughter for him. So this guy has a lot of people out for him, right? Funny man has a lot of people out to kill him. So I think I remember the difference between the arcs now. This arc is like arc where you kind of have Aqua and they're on the show, and Ruby joins the show as well. This was a fun little arc. I say quote unquote fun little arc, right? They're being manipulative and all that, and that's kind of based. Ruby is turned into a very interesting character. It's also very, very sad too to see how she once was versus how she is now. But basically, they're like, oh yeah, this arc was cool. I mean, I enjoyed it. Maybe a little bit underwhelming after Arc 6, but Arc 6 being my favorite arc, that's going to happen, I mean, I enjoyed it. It kind of felt like a quote-unquote more traditional Oshi no Ko arc again, kind of delving into like the controversy side of all that, while just having the twins working kind of in the background there to get themselves more popular. It was interesting. You have the whole controversy with the cosplayer girl and like the whole little episode there, and it was cool. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I think that it was a good little arc to kind of see everything again, right? It was after this that Oshi no Ko kind of like, okay, forget this. I think this was the last breath of a quote unquote traditional Oshi no Ko arc of kind of looking into an industry and kind of figuring stuff out. Because we're in the end game now with Arc 9. Whether or not Arc 9 is the final arc, or if we have a mysterious Arc 10, that remains to be seen. But this was a fun little arc. Aqua being like, oh, what you call it, blah, 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 I hate you. He was like, you're working, aren't you, Ruby? You're working a little bit. And Ruby was like, yeah, like I'm working for us. Don't worry about it. I'm working. And yeah, like I can't remember all the details. I read this. This was what I read this morning, so I've had less time to marinate over it than the stuff before. But I mean, I enjoyed it. Then we get to Arc 8, which is all the stuff with, as far as I'm remembering, is Akane is working, right, and she figures out who their father is. All right, and it's this guy, the Kamiki, so whatever his name is, right? Looks a lot like Aqua. He was 15 when the twins were born, I believe, or maybe he was 16 when the twins were born. I think he was 15 when the twins were born. He was a middle school student, right? He's the father. And we see him later. Yeah, no, he looks like Aqua. And we would kind of see people pass by him, and she passes by him at one case, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. She sees the flowers, and it's like, oh, okay. It's the same flowers that the guy was holding when he killed I. Bro's kind of evil. Bro's kind of devious. We see him later kill some chick for some reason. We don't know, but he kills again. So this isn't his first time. This ain't his first rodeo. He probably inspired the murder suicide. I don't know. Maybe that. I mean, the wife. He was 11. But yeah. So I mean, I get why it was a murder suicide, right? Maybe he did that. I don't know. He kills this chick for no reason. But he has the black eyes, right? The black star eyes. It's like, oh, that's where they get that from. And later we see I kind of with them. Where she like drops the facade a bit, and she has them too. So it's like interesting. We know that the star eyes, and we see the chick that the father kills. She also had a star eye for a bit, right? So we get to see that. And so the star eyes, we've seen other people's star eyes like represent someone like who can lie really well. I think is what it's in the manga, but basically it's like someone the peak of their craft, right? Where it's like, okay, like this is my moment, right? That kind of thing. And it's done pretty well. I always, you see it and you're like, okay, right? They got the stars, they got the stars. So then it's the question of what exactly does the black star eyes mean, right? Does it have supernatural implications, right? I don't know. I don't know if I think so necessarily, but also at the same time, I do feel there's something supernatural going on with their father. As to some reason, the question Crow Girl posed of, why are they here? What's the importance there? It's going to be very interesting to see. But Akane finds out his name, and she's going to, go kill him because she cares about Aqua and, doesn't want to, him to, and she wants to save him. Aqua figures out because he's been, wiretapping her, and it's like, okay, that's interesting. She almost dies. I was like, okay, Akane's about to die. I was like, this is gonna suck. I really like her, but she doesn't. And then Aqua, figures out. He talks to the guy, and he figures out. He's like, yeah, like that could very well not be your father. Like that's not him. Like he died before everything. It sucks, but that's not him. Your father's still out there somewhere, and Aqua has to give back in. And then I really like Akane's line after Aqua kind of leaves her and stuff, and she's like, I couldn't save him. And it's like, yeah, no, he's pretty gone. He's very much so marching down the path of self-destruction there. Even to now, right? His one singular focus is on killing his father, and it's very interesting to see how everyone around him is reacting to that, and how his similarities with Ruby and yet their differences as well in their perspective on how to do things, and obviously his final plan being enacted now with this movie they're producing, which it's going to be peak. This is going to be a very good arc. The movie arc is. I really enjoyed that moment with Akane, and it's like, okay, yeah, at this point she's kind of out of the story. We're having big cast reunion right at the movie because like everyone's here, right? That'll be fun. It'll be fun to see. But we get the cast reunion there, so we get to see her again. But this is her time in the story, right? Kana's been doing basically nothing, which I'm fine with. Until she starts doing stuff. I don't hate her, but Akane is better. So that was kind of sad to see, but it again interesting to see Aqua, and then he gets his black star eyes back. It's like, okay, right, we're cooking with fire a little bit here. I get it, I understand, I'm with you. I'm here, right? We're following, we're listening, that kind of thing. It's pretty good stuff. Arcade was pretty good. I enjoyed it, and kind of it's like, okay, he knows who his father is. Now he just has to get out there. And then we have the movie arc, which is what we're on now. And just kind of, thinking through it, talking through it. You have Aqua writing the movie. And, oh, yeah, that's right. You had the whole scandal, too. I can't believe I almost forgot the whole scandal. It's Kana. That's you have the whole scandal and all where she's caught. And, like, it's nothing really, but just kind of, what you call it. It's okay. It's fun enough, right? Cool enough. Okay, the big thing to come out of the whole scandal was obviously Aqua revealing that he and Ruby are Aya's kids, and that being the cover story for Kana, because he does care about her, which is like, okay. Again, kind of disappointed it's not Akane. And I would say maybe one of the weaker points in Oshi no Ko, because it's like, where did that really come from? Because Akane's been the one helping him out throughout everything. So it's like, why Kana? Who's never had really the best person. I don't know, maybe she embodies Ai more. My theory, she's an idol, right? So I can't say I truly understand that. Now, you could make the manipulation argument. I don't think so, because we still saw some of this, before he realized his father was still alive. And so I don't think that it's fully manipulation. Obviously now it is, but that's just him on the path of total self-destruction, trying to get back at his father. So it's just interesting to see, that this was a cool moment, the reveal of everything. It's like, okay, so this is his plan. It's all in the air now. Obviously, Ruby's none too happy about this, and she's like, oh, like we're strangers, we're not even family. Like, I hate you. Why would you do this? You're an awful person. That kind of thing. And then I don't know if at this point Aqua knows that Ruby is Sarina. It's kind of vague in chapter 122 as to when exactly he found out. If maybe he just found out now and he had seen like hints of her before. Aqua is doing a lot of this so that Ruby can live on after this. Just say whether or not he's planning on this being like a suicide mission. He's definitely on he's burning all his options here, right? He's on his war path, total destruction. He's going headfirst towards his goal. He doesn't care what happens after. He's burning all his bridges. It's interesting to see, and it's sad to see too. Knowing how happy they would be. It's the question I thought is, would I even want this, right, for her kids? But it's interesting. I don't doubt with the supernatural aspect of this, right? You have their souls somehow came to these bodies. I don't doubt maybe we see Ai again somehow, some way. I don't doubt it. I do not doubt us seeing Ai again somehow. I can't say how. I couldn't tell you how. I do think though that's probably gonna happen. I think that's probably gonna happen. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And then he, writes the script, and then everyone's getting on board, and you have the little thing where you have, Ruby and Akane and the other girl, Frillis or something. You guys have been terribly important up until this point, other than just as one of Ruby's friends. And they're kind of, competing for the part of I. And Ruby wins it, so Ruby's going to be I. And then Aqua's going to be his father in the movie. It's interesting. I'm very interested to see, okay, what's the kind of script like? What is Aqua's ultimate plan here to deal with his father, other than just killing him? Because he doesn't want to just kill his father. That'd be too easy. I want to complete his revenge, right? That kind of thing. He's not interested in just killing him, but it's interesting to see, what's his play here. And we get Akane kind of talking. It'll be interesting to see. She is going to be relevant this arc, because I just remembered her saying to Aqua, "I'm going to stop your plan." Right? It's clear to everyone, and even the extra actor girl said, I'm not blind. It's really obvious here that Aqua's trying to kill his dad with this script. He's definitely, trying to do that. And so Akane being like, "I'm going to ruin your plan." Pretty sure that's her, once again trying to save him. So I don't know. Maybe she does. Maybe she does one. I think it's going to be Kana, though. Kana not really doing much. Really. Aqua's manipulating her based and red-pilled. Can't manipulate Kane because she's too good of a character. And then chapter 122 rolls around, and we finally get at least Ruby figuring out that Aqua is the doctor, is Goro. I think his name is Goro. We get Ruby figuring out who he is, and that was a very good chapter. It's very touching. Getting to see them reunited. I think the 123 leaks are out. I could look them up. I might try to find it on a manga piracy website. I'm in a what now? I could just wait for it to come out on Manga Plus. I'm not terribly happy with Manga Plus having to use that. But oh well, right? Manga Plus is decent. Viz is better. Shonen Jump is better. But Manga Plus works, I guess. The ads are kind of annoying. But yeah, this 122 was a phenomenal chapter. Get to see them finally reunite. It's going to be interesting to see how that one affects their relationship going forward, with them fully knowing, who each other are. Like again, the debate of whether Aqua knew if Ruby was Sarina earlier or not. I don't know. Maybe we figure that out next chapter. Seeing how this impacts the movie, seeing how this impacts the end of Oshi no Ko. It's going to be fun to see. It's going to be very interesting to kind of look into with the chapter 123 in the future. I'm pretty sure we're in the end game. Like I said, I don't know if the movie arc will be the final arc we might have in arc 10, with just the full revenge, after the movie, because I don't know if the movie is going to be everything. I feel like we have maybe one more arc after this, but also the movie, it's feeling pretty final. We're definitely wrapping up Oshi no Ko and everything. As to how long it's going to last, still, I don't know. The movie is definitely the final act. We know who the father is. We have, insight into some of the supernatural stuff. We don't know how. We know that there is something going on. We have Crow Girl. Apparently Aqua knows Crow Girl, so maybe Aqua knows more than we know. Again, that's not odd. We don't know his ultimate plan. So kind of getting a lot of this culminating right here. It'll be very interesting to see. I'm very much looking forward to it. And yeah, that is a very insanely rough recap in my thoughts on all the Oshi no Ko manga after the anime. All roughly 80 so chapters. It was a lot to read, but it's really good. It's really good stuff. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, right now, probably one of my favorite mangas. Gonna have to sleep on it more, gonna have to sit on it more, gonna have to follow it weekly more to really kind of see if it remains up there, right? I feel pretty comfortable, though. There hasn't been a lot of missteps with Oshi no Ko as far as I'm concerned with my opinion of it. I think that a lot of the things it's done have been the right choice. I'd say if there was a quote-unquote cardinal sin that it did is maybe, you have a lot of characters, and so some of them are naturally going to get sidelined. Mem is sidelined pretty hard, but she was never super important. I think all the main characters have a good amount of screen time for what they do. Maybe an argument could be made against Kana in that needing more screen time, or kind of wishing that we had seen maybe more for development or whatever. But I'm just a bit biased there because I'm a huge Kana fan. I don't know how popular that opinion is or how unpopular that opinion is in the community. But that's my opinion. So Oshi no Ko is great. I'm going to be reading it weekly. If nothing else, I'll make another video whenever it ends talking about my thoughts on the entire series and the ending itself. But man, what a show. What a show this was. What a manga it's been so far. Really looking forward to 122 was on one hand a awful stopping place because I want to finish the manga, right? But on the other hand, it is a great stopping place because it shows hope that, okay, maybe these guys aren't like going to be fully like destroyed. Maybe this isn't going to fully destroy them, right? There's still humanity there that I think maybe we hadn't seen a lot of with both Aqua and Ruby on the war path here. So maybe once all this is over, they can live a normal life. That's definitely what I'm hoping for. Again, maybe we'll get to see Ai again and something. I'd put money on that. I think we're seeing Ai again at some point. Through some form of supernatural phenomena, something. Looking forward to how the supernatural phenomena is limited. I'm looking forward to Aqua and Ruby, meeting their dad and kind of getting to talk to him. Getting to figure out, okay, what's his deal? Why does he just murder people? Like, why did he murder that chick? Right, that actress chick? Why? What was the point in him murdering? It's gonna be interesting to see. And yeah, that's Oshi no Ko. So if you're this far in the video, obviously if there's something you like, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling me what your favorite part of the Oshi no Ko manga is. And I don't know what video will be coming up next, but I'll see you all then. Bye-bye.